Oh, welcome everyone. Welcome to another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. I'm Lady TrenettWilson, your lecturer and social historian. I want to thank everybody for joining me. Hello, subbies. And if this is your first time being with us, welcome to our lecture. Here on Royal Black and Elite, we like to talk about a different side of Black history, the royal side and the elite side. And today we're going to talk about someone who was very elite, but often, as always, hidden in history. And it's my honor to bring Mr. Paul Revere Williams to you today during today's lecture. Now, Mr. Williams was a famous architect to the stars. Paul was born in Los Angeles, California on February the 18th, 1894. Now, he had a brother named Chester, and his father's name was Chester Stanley, and his mother's name was Lila Wright. They were born in Memphis, his mother and father, so they had migrated there to Los Angeles. Chester was looking for his payday. He thought that he could start a fruit stand and make a lot of money. Unfortunately, that did not happen. He didn't do well at his fruit stand. And then even sadder, in 1896, he passed away of tuberculosis. And then in 1898, Lila passed away. Can you believe this? This baby was only Paul was only like 4 years old, and both of his parents had passed away, leaving he and his brother Chester as orphans. So they had to end up going into foster care. Now, it's not said if Chester and Paul were adopted together, but we do know that Paul was adopted when he was still a young guy, little boy, and by a family, by a man named C.I. Clarkson and his wife. And we don't hear anything else about Chester. So I don't know if they were separated as a brothers or if we ever saw his brother again. So that story got sad really, really quickly. Now, he was adopted, but he was so little, I don't even know if he probably even remembers any of the things, even his parents, because he was so young. Oh, that's just so sad. He was the only African American child at the all white school because Mr. Clarkson was a wealthy man and he was able to educate him at the highest levels. So he was already a great artist. He could draft really well. So he went to the LA School of Art and Design. He also went to the LA branch of the New York Beaux Arts Institute of Design. So he was well trained in his career. From 1916 to 1918, he studied architectural engineering at USC, where he eventually graduated. Now, before he graduated, he was already designing structures and buildings, but he became official in 1921 when he became the first African American to become a certified architect west of the Mississippi. While he was attending USC, he met and married Della Mae Givens. They were married on June the 27th, 1917, and they had three children, two girls and one boy. But the boy passed away. In 1919, Williams won an architectural competition, and 3 years later, he opened his own architectural company. But he was having some problems because let's just face it, people were racist. In fact, one of the things he was known for was when he met with clients, when he was trying to get clients, he had to learn how to draw upside down because the people of non color would not sit next to him. They would only sit across from him. So, in order for him to be able to bring the building alive through drawing, he had to learn how to draw upside down. So, that's just how racist things were back then. But even despite that, his talent and his gift elevated him above that. And his business, didn't do well at first, but it did take off. But he had to go to work for someone else for about 3 years. So from 1921 to 1924, he worked for an architect named John C. Austin, and he began to move up until he became his head draftsman. And after that, he started again in his own business. But this time, things turned out a little differently. It was a good move for him because he began to be accredited for designing over 2,000 buildings, houses, churches, hospitals, all kinds of things after he went out on his own. He even designed his own home. Here it is here in Lafayette Square. Now he was commissioned to build homes and design homes from some of the biggest companies and from the most well known stars. He even built this hospital. So he was absolutely amazing. Some of the people that he designed for were people like Frank Sinatra, who was really famous back in the day. Bill Bojangles Robinson, and Mr. Bojangles was a dancer and a singer. He designed his house. Lucille Ball. So if you ever watched the Lucille Ball show, here's her house. Danny Thomas, Tyrone Power, and Barbara Stanwyck. And that's just to name a few. I couldn't possibly go through all of the names and all of the places that this brilliant man designed. If you ride through the Hollywood Hills in Pasadena and even other parts of the country, you will see the work of this man. And I couldn't believe he's not more famous even than architects of that time because he designed some of the most beautiful buildings. Some of them include the 28th Street YMCA. Like I was saying, schools, hotels, funeral homes. He even was a part of the redesign for the Beverly Hills Hotel, which is a really famous hotel in California. This is a famous church that he designed. He designed the Hollywood YMCA. He built business complexes, the J. Paley House in 1935, restaurants, and he also built two buildings on the UCLA campus. So, I mean, can you just imagine? He even built Al Jolson's tomb. Al Jolson was famous back in the day as well. This man was absolutely legendary. When I look at how many buildings he developed and designed, I think, why isn't he on the level of like Stanford White? He was the man who designed the Madison Square Gardens, and he was unalived by his ex-girlfriend's new boyfriend. It was a mess. But why isn't he known on that level, especially with him designing all of these beautiful buildings? I'm so honored to bring him to you tonight because I think that a lot of times, again, we are hidden in history, and it's important for us to know this about our Black history, our elite Black history, because when you walk through businesses and walk through towns, you know someone of color had something to do with that. Now, as we've seen his pictures throughout the lecture, it looks like he was mixed with something, but they never allude to that throughout his history. He always referred to himself as a black man, so he didn't say he was mixed or of different colors. And I wanted to make sure I said that because sometimes during down in the comments, someone may say, "No, he's mixed. He is not black." It's insulting, and I don't want to insult anyone. So that's the only reason I didn't refer to him as a mixed race person, because that's not how he referred to himself. But regardless, if he was mixed race or 100% black, we are just proud of the work that we see that he has done. Now, Williams retired in 1973 after almost a 50-year career. And He lived 7 years after his retirement, and he passed away at 85 years old on January 23rd, 1980. Now, his widow, Della Mae, she outlived about another 15 years. So she was 100 years old when when she passed away. Also, I mentioned earlier that he had two buildings on a college campus, and I said UCLA. I meant to say USC. And that's actually where his papers ended up. In 2020, Milton Curry, he was the dean of the USC School of Architecture. He brought his papers. So, what do you think about Mr. Paul Revere Williams? Had you ever heard of him? I am so glad again that I was able to bring him to you. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode. As always, I hope that you learned a lot, learned about someone that you never knew. Now, be sure to go out and share this. Share this with other people so that they can learn a different side of Black history. Now, I'll see you on another great episode of Royal Black and Elite. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and comment down below. Have you ever heard of this man? Have you ever seen any of his buildings? Do you live in the Los Angeles area? Anyway, thank you all and have a wonderful day.